In today's video, we're going to be talking about this whole FTX, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried saga, all the drama going on, everything happening. This is going to cause them to regulate the hell out of crypto. And let me tell you why. We've had a lot of DeFi platforms go down in the past year or two, whether it be, infinite money hacks and people figuring out how to kind of hack the system or take out loans. We've had a lot of rug pulls, a lot of exchanges have collapsed this year. There's been a lot of negative stuff for the crypto space this year. But for the most part, it hasn't affected celebrities, it hasn't affected banks, it hasn't affected venture capital companies, it hasn't affected politics, but that all changed with FTX. If you've ever seen Sam Bankman-Fried talk, I mean, not only does the guy look like a clown, the guy talks like an idiot. Listening to him talk is like watching Fetterman debate. The guy literally can't put sentences together. I saw an interview with him on Twitter the other day, and basically Sam Bankman-Fried has been, trying to lobby regulators for more regulation, for stopping privacy, for stopping freedom in the crypto space. And somebody was asking him, like, why, would you be okay with, like, the government monitoring emails or something like that? And he was like, absolutely not. That's, un-American. It's against freedom. It's against freedom of speech. They were like, well, why would you want the government to be able to oversee everybody's finances? And he was like, the fact that this guy got into so much power and was able to control somewhere between $8 and $12 billion is just crazy to me. It's also kind of funny how oftentimes the people who are trying to push regulation, who are trying to go after others, wind up being the dirtiest and most corrupt people themselves. I'll be honest, I don't fully understand this story. I don't follow crypto as much as I did years back. And I never really got involved with FTX. I remember when the platform first started getting popular. I think I even made a video when they, hired their first influencer. If you look way back in my videos from a couple years back, there was some, hot draft pick out of, I believe it was the University of Tennessee. He was going to be some star quarterback in the NFL. I think he took a big portion of his signing bonus, if not all of it, in Bitcoin or a variety of cryptocurrencies. He kind of became the face of FTX. And then eventually FTX went on to become, a much bigger player, buying stadiums, sponsoring leagues. I think the MLB umpires had FTX symbols on their uniforms or their sleeves. They got Tom Brady and a lot of other big celebrities to kind of endorse them and be the spokespeople for them. But this was like way back in the early days. I never liked Sam Bankman-Fried. He looked like an idiot. He's got a punchable face. I know for a long time he's been talking about how he wanted to put $1 billion behind getting Joe Biden elected. I saw another article the other day that said Sam Bankman-Fried put a lot of money into the midterm elections. But anybody who wants to get Biden reelected in 2024, that's not a company or a person that I'm going to give my money to put a vegetable back in the office for another 4 years. So the platform has never appealed to me, and therefore I never followed it that closely. We're going to be kind of learning about this together. If you guys want to fill in any of the blanks or if I misspeak on anything, feel free to drop a comment down below and kind of correct me. We're going to be going through this article from Zero Hedge titled "Beyond Our Ability to Help, Binance Abandons the FTX Deal. SBF admits to an $8 billion shortfall. Bankruptcy likely." I believe this article is from yesterday, but I believe Sam Bankman-Fried has already filed for personal bankruptcy. I'm kind of confused about, kind of like how there's a Binance.com and a Binance.us, I guess there was a FTX kind of global and an FTX.us. Now, apparently the FTX.com or the FTX global is the one that's going under, is the one that has all the issues, and supposedly people are saying FTX.us is okay. I don't know that I necessarily trust that, but either way, is anybody going to trust FTX at this point? Is anybody going to continue using FTX.us? I highly doubt it. I've heard some rumors this morning that FTX is missing and he's kind of like on the run. I've also heard some rumors that there's some big stories that's going to be coming out either today or in the coming days. Big charges coming against Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. I mean, we're talking like RICO, money laundering, like big charges. So I think this is going to turn into a big story. But the space is going to become heavily regulated, because this isn't just small-time people in crypto like you and I who got ripped off here. I mean, Blackrock lost a bunch of money. Tom Brady and Giselle Bundchen, whatever her name is, they had a bunch of money. The Ontario, I think, Teachers Pension Fund, bunch of money in FTX. Sequoia Capital, a venture capital company, has already written off their losses. So, I mean, we're, like 1 or 2 days into this, and they've already basically said, we're not going to get any of this money back, and they're writing off their losses. Another interesting thing about this story, so Binance initially said they were going to come in and kind of buy out FTX and rescue the customers. That they said they were going to take about a week to do some due diligence. You know, they said they were interested in buying it but hadn't committed to anything, and they wanted a week to kind of look over the finances. Well, less than 24 hours later, it was like 12, 16 hours later, Binance has come out and basically said, you know, this situation is too fucked. We can't save this, and we're not getting involved. I think that probably doesn't come as a surprise to a lot of people. I'm sure you guys know about like the Celsius saga and the Voyager saga. I had money tied up in Voyager. There's actually a vote going on right now. I think the vote is supposed to be completed on November 29th. And basically they're voting on whether or not to let FTX buy the exchange and take it over, or just to liquidate whatever assets they have and kind of pass that out amongst everybody who lost money. It seemed like most people were leaning towards voting for the FTX takeover, even though it was a pretty shitty deal, but at least it would have gotten things over with quicker. But now that we know that FTX has no money, I'm guessing that deal's not going to go through, and it's become clear why Sam Bankman-Fried was taking over all these companies and why he wanted to buy Voyager. I believe either Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, or Alameda had owed Voyager something like 500 or 600 million Bitcoins. So by taking over Voyager, he now owns Voyager, and now he no longer owes Voyager 600 Bitcoins. We're going to hop into this article in a second, but like I was saying, you know, regulation is coming because big people got screwed. I mean, look at Robinhood stock tanked 15 or 20% the other day because Sam Bankman-Fried was a 7 to 8% owner of Robinhood. And people realize with everything going on right now, Robinhood is going to have to, or Sam Bankman-Fried is going to have to dump all of his Robinhood stock. Also, I think a lot of people were optimistic that Sam Bankman-Fried might buy Robinhood, and obviously it's clear that's not going to happen either. But the point in why regulation is coming is Sam Bankman-Fried was basically allowed to create $12 billion out of thin air. He was essentially allowed to buy a 7 or 8% stake of Robinhood, essentially with monopoly money. He heavily supported Democrats in the midterm elections, again with monopoly money. I'm terrible with analogies, but like I was talking to my girlfriend this morning, and I was like trying to explain a lot of the things going on. I'd helped her set up an investment account over the weekend, and I guess she was talking to her boss, and he had mentioned that he had $250,000 in a platform called Outlet Finance. I'm not really familiar with Outlet Finance. If you guys know about it, let me know. I think it somehow runs off like DeFi platforms, and they lend money. They were involved with Celsius. I think they were kind of a middleman for Celsius. But they also work with like Ethereum and DeFi platforms and stable coins, and that's how they pay their 9% interest. And when I learned of that the other day, and kind of, this is before FTX even crashed, but I kind of saw the writing on the wall with what was going to happen. And I told him, like, you better tell your boss to get his money out of there ASAP. And I kind of lost my train of thought of where we're going. But, okay, so here's where we're going with this. So I was kind of trying to explain the situation. I was like, look, imagine if I could pick up rocks off the ground, and every rock I brought into the bank would give me $100. I would spend all day long going around picking up rocks and then pick them up off the side of the road, out of my backyard. I'd go to, parks and forest preserves and pick up rocks, and I'd bring them all to the bank, and I would very quickly become a millionaire and then a billionaire. And now imagine if I start buying up all the real estate and all the homes and all the commercial real estate in my city. Imagine if I start buying businesses. At some point people are going to be like, well, this is kind of fucked. Like, what value does my money that I work hard for have if Rules for Rebels can just pick up rocks off the ground and turn them in and or turn them into the bank and basically create money out of thin air. And in a way, that's kind of what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing. And that's what a lot of people in the space are doing. So Sam Bankman-Fried was using his customers' money for risky investments. He was also essentially creating money out of thin air with the FTT token, and then using that money as a collateral to buy other companies. And eventually people want to turn in their FTT tokens, and it turns out that there's no money there because there was never anything behind it to begin with. But we're going to hop into this article in a second. One more thing I wanted to talk about, let me know your guys' feelings about crypto today versus crypto in 2020 versus 2017 versus if you guys have been in the game for a while, 2013, 2015, 2016, whatever it may be. I feel like the golden era for crypto is kind of behind us. I'm sure I'm not saying crypto's gone away. A lot of people like DeFi and NFTs and a lot of things like that. For some reason in my head, 2015 to 2018, was kind of the golden era of crypto. It was first and foremost a peer-to-peer currency, which is kind of what Satoshi intended it to be. We've kind of really gotten away from crypto being a currency, and it's become monkey pictures and DeFi platforms and all these other types of things. But first and foremost, cryptocurrency was meant to put a bank in everybody's pocket, to be a peer-to-peer currency, and we've really gotten far away from that. I know a lot of crypto projects and ICOs were launched in 2017 during the bull run of 2017, but if you look at the number of cryptocurrencies in 2018 to 2020, or even more so, say 2019 to 2022. We went from 1,200 crypto projects to 18,000 crypto projects. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on the numbers there, but we thought a lot of stuff was coming out in 2017. It's really gone crazy since. And I remember back in 2015, 2017, especially back as far as 2013, 2014, you kind of knew, every project in the top 100, you kind of knew who they were and what they did. There weren't nearly as many projects out there. Everything was much more simple and straightforward. And, I was watching my man Brian Phobos make a video the other day, and he had kind of made a comment. He said, you kind of got to pick one niche in the crypto space, and you got to focus on that one niche. It's a full-time job following the news and understanding even one aspect of crypto, whether that be DeFi or staking or NFTs or, whatever it may be. It's a full-time job just following one area. You can no longer keep up with the entire space. And I felt like back in 2015, 2016, 2017, I used to do a lot of day trading. I really followed the space closely. You kind of knew the patterns of every coin, and it was really easy to swing trade. You kind of knew every project in the top 100. This is kind of back in the days of ARC, List, NEM, maybe BAT token, Lightning, was it Lightning Network or Lightning Protocol? You kind of had an idea of every coin in the space. You had an idea of what was going on in the space. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, everything just seems way, way fucking more confusing. The best analogy I can make is I've kind of gotten out of video games in the past. I've been out of video games for a long time, but, I kind of miss the simplicity of Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis or even Xbox 360. Games now are so complicated. And people talk about the classic era of gaming or the golden era of gaming. I think things were better in gaming when things were a little bit more simple. Now I want to play a baseball game, and it's not like RBI baseball where there's 2 buttons. Now it's there's buttons depending on how you want to swing. You can't just play the field and run around and get the ball. When the ball's going towards the fence, you got to play. You got to press one button to make sure the guy sprints. Then you got to press another button to climb the wall. You got to press another button to extend his arm, and it's just gotten way more complicated. I'm not sure if that analogy makes any sense to anybody, but I think kind of the golden era of crypto is over. I think a lot of people get into crypto hoping it's their way out, hoping it's their way to get ahead, hoping it's their way to escape. And honestly, the days of throwing $600 into some 100 to 200 market cap coin and becoming a millionaire off of it, those days are gone. I know a lot of people made a bunch of money off Dogecoin and Shiba Inu and a lot of things like that. And there will be opportunities in the future to make big money and see huge returns, but it's going to be few and far between, and it's going to be just really fucking dumb luck. Whereas back in the day, if you got in early, you could throw a couple $100 into a project and walk away with a couple $100,000. there was just a lot more opportunity back then. I've been rambling for 15 minutes here, and we haven't even gotten into the story. So let's take a look at this article from Zero Hedge. Beyond our ability to help, Binance abandons the FTX deal. SBF admits to $8 billion shortfall. Bankruptcy likely. The Wall Street Journal reported that Sam Bankman-Fried told investors today that FTX has a shortfall of $8 billion and was seeking emergency liquidity, and without that, more capital, bankruptcy is likely. Some have suggested the hole in the FTX balance sheet is even larger given the assets sloshing around with Alameda. And here we have a tweet from Adam Cochran, hearing a $10 billion hole on the FTX side alone, not accounting for anyone Alameda owned. Not for sure, as it will be a while before we get official numbers in a bankruptcy situation, but I've got a reasonable personal confidence in that number. Let's see. Given that, it is no surprise that Binance has confirmed in a statement on Twitter that it will walk away from the FTX rescue deal. The decision comes after the initial due diligence. And again, that was supposed to take a week. It took all of about 16 hours. And we see a tweet from Binance here, and it says, as a result of corporate due diligence, as well as the latest news reports regarding mishandling customer funds and alleged U.S. investigations, we have decided that we will not pursue the potential acquisition of FTX. Binance went on to say, in the beginning, our hope was to be able to support FTX customers to provide liquidity, but the issues are beyond our control or ability to help. Every time a major player in an industry fails, retail consumers will suffer. We have seen over the last several years that the crypto ecosystem is becoming more resilient, and we believe in time that outliers that misuse user funds will be weeded out by the free market. As a regulatory framework, we are developed as the industry continues to evolve towards greater decentralization. The ecosystem will grow stronger. And I saw, I don't really understand the technicals behind this, but I saw CZ had put out a tweet the other day and basically said exchanges need to stop using customer funds to invest with. And also, again, I don't understand the technicals behind this, but he basically called for more transparency and some way that you or I or anybody could kind of get an insight to through the blockchain to various exchanges, how much funds that they actually hold, and kind of what they're actually doing with those funds. Back to the article, it says the headline sparked a new leg lower in cryptos with FTT testing new lows and Bitcoin testing down to 16,000. We also note that there's an aggressive panic bid for USW Treasuries too. It turns out that FTX was some mutant combo of Lehman, which was illiquid and undercapitalized, and MF Global, illegal use clients' funds to fund its own terrible investments. FTX has also now halted withdrawals, and it says this could be the worst one yet. We got a tweet from Zero Hedge. If SBF _ FTX took $6 billion in client funds from FTX and secretly siphoned them to fund his teenage investing wizards at Alameda, he should go to prison for a long time. This article was updated at 10:50 Eastern Time last night, following earlier comments from Binance boss CZ. CoinDesk is reporting the crypto exchange is highly unlikely to go through with its proposed FTX rescue. Let's see, CoinDesk, Binance, okay, so that's kind of old news at this point. The headline sparked a new leg down in Bitcoin to a $16,000 handle. FTT token is trading back to new lows. Last I checked it was like $2 and some change. We'll take a look in a second and see where it's at. Roughly a half day into the process of reviewing FTX's internal data and loan commitments has led Binance to strongly lean against completing the transaction, according to a person familiar with the matter. With all eyes on what the most powerful man in crypto, Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao or CZ will do next, now that Sam Bankman-Fried or other bank-run fraud has been exposed as just another Ponzi running fraudster. Read this thread for details on how FTX did everything it could to delay the inevitable implosion of his trading group at Alameda and how long until his non-binding agreement to acquire FTX collapses. Bloomberg reports that in a memo to employees, CZ said there wasn't a master plan to take over FTX.com, and the collapse of the rival crypto exchange is not good for anybody in the industry. Now, I don't have time to kind of read this background story on how FTX tried to keep this Ponzi going. One example of that was him trying to buy Voyager to forgive his 566 Bitcoin debt. I will include that link in the description box below if you guys want to take a look at it yourself. A lot of people are mad at CZ, like, oh my gosh, CZ caused this. No, this was all going to happen eventually. It's actually probably better it happened sooner rather than later, before SPF and FTX could do more damage. Let's hop back into the article. We did not master plan this or anything related to it. It was less than 24 hours ago that FBF called me, and before that, I had very little knowledge of the internal state of things at FTX, Zhao wrote in a memo sent Wednesday, which of course is false, since Binance, as an existing major investor, had every insight into what was going on and knew precisely what to do to spark a bank run, which it did, which is also why CZ hedged. I could do some mental calculations with our revenue to guess theirs, but it would never be very accurate. In retrospect, they were accurate enough. Now, apparently there's rumors that behind the scenes there was talk of a buyout going on for months leading up to this, but that hasn't really been made public as of yet. Also, some of you guys may know this, but CZ and Binance actually funded FTX from the beginning. They kind of bankrolled him to get his start, and I believe they're still an investor in FTX. Still knowing that regulators will scrutinize his every decision and comment, CZ continued to plead ignorance. I was surprised when he wanted to talk. My first reaction was he wants to do an OTC deal, but here we are. Zhao noted that due diligence for the deal is ongoing and reminded employees not to trade the FTT token. He also told employees not to comment on the transaction. Never use a token you created as collateral. Don't borrow if you run a crypto business. Don't use capital efficiently. Have a large reserve, Zhao tweeted. And we're looking at a tweet from CZ, and he tweeted this kind of shortly after everything happened on November 8th, and he said 2 big lessons. Number 1, never use a token you created as collateral. Number 2, don't borrow if you run a crypto business. Don't use capital efficiently. Have a large reserve. Binance has never used BNB for collateral, and we have never taken on debt. Now, one interesting thing, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, has kind of commented on this, and he said, oh, you know, this is part of the reason we never created our own exchange token. I think a lot of people are wondering why Coinbase never created an exchange token. But he also said we have never invested out our customers' funds, and it's not because he didn't want to. I believe Coinbase had tried to do that, but they were turned down by regulators. So the only reason Coinbase wasn't lending customers funds is because they weren't allowed to do so. I think the big lesson here is not your keys, not your coins. I think in a lot of ways it kind of changes how we interact with crypto. I mean, it's not safe to be an active trader or a day trader because you can't leave your coins on exchanges. It's not really safe to be in DeFi because these platforms collapse. It's basically not safe to trust any third party with your crypto, which basically means you have to buy crypto on an exchange, immediately send it off the exchange, and not move it back on unless you're cashing out or trading, which a lot of the kind of fun stuff, the fun activities that you can do with crypto that have popped up over the past couple of years are no longer safe to do. And as great as it is to earn interest, it's not worth putting your whole stack at risk to earn 4% or 6% or 9%. Okay, we're almost done with this article because I got to get running. Zhao also said that the proposed, if hardly completed bailout, which consolidated Binance's position as the world's biggest crypto trading venue, was not a win for us, adding that user confidence is severely shaken. Regulators will scrutinize exchanges even more. Licenses around the globe will be harder to get. The message is also laid out that the speed of the deal he agreed with his counterpart Sam Bankman-Fried to prevent the total collapse of FTX, which has been valued at $32 billion earlier this year. The two men shocked the crypto industry when they announced on Tuesday that Binance had agreed to rescue FTX after a surge in customer withdrawals sparked a liquidity crisis after Zhao announced that he was selling 530 million holdings of FTX's native token. The letter of intent signed is a non-binding agreement. Terms haven't been disclosed. So it seems like this part here is kind of talking about kind of old news. I kind of, again, I'm not like super familiar with this situation, so I kind of wanted to start a discussion here. Drop your comments down below. Let me know if I missed anything about this story, any insights you guys have about the story. What does this mean for the Celsius bailout? What does this mean for the Voyager bailout? What does this mean for the crypto space as a whole? Anything you guys have to add, go ahead and drop a comment down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later, guys.